Hey guys, you would think weekend is a fantastic time to do vlogs, and I went into the weekend with the full expectation of, I will probably make it one, maybe even two or something. I don't know, no specific weekend plans, lockdown, so why wouldn't I? And yet here I am. It's already Sunday afternoon on my end, and I'm like, you know what? I have a few minutes. I really should do one before I already let it fade away from me. And yeah, my what I wanted to talk about today, as the title already tells, is my problem with Critical Role. And yeah, graphics. I could make it 4 vlogs without starting to actually work with something. Um, but I'm still doing it the lazy way, I guess. I'm not entirely sure. I now don't directly use my webcam, but instead OBS to record it. So I don't have any post production besides cutting off the "Am I live yet?" in the beginning and the cut at the end between me signing off and actually cutting the feed. Um, but yeah, so I have no post production. But therefore I have more pre production, like figuring out what I want to talk about and putting graphics in here ahead of time. Anyways, you are all dying to hear what my problem is with Critical Role, aren't you? Too bad. We actually have critical posters on the wall, but not on the wall behind me. Well, that's not helping. Because, yeah, disclaimer, I am a fan of Critical Role, but very much am. However, there is a problem with it, and we need to talk about this problem with Critical Role. It's a very super serial one. Um, nah. So I got to know about I got to know about Critical Role. That's still not the one I was looking for. Oh no, I've lost a tab. I have lost a tab. How could this happen? Oh, I guess that tab's gone forever now. Um, I wanted to throw out some proper numbers here to deliver context, but I just fail at that. So I got to hear about Critical Role when the second campaign, which is the current campaign, was already going. I heard from friends who were very much into it, like Kichi and Denim Ninja, and they are the two most hardcore fans. I'm pretty sure that other friends of mine are also watching it and following it very, very passionately, especially given how many of my friends nowadays are just into D&D, like actively playing it. And I guess if you are already into it, you might also enjoy watching a bunch of nerdy voice actors playing it by themselves. But despite me enjoying it myself, I then wanted to get into it. Actually, I dare to say I truly started to try to get into it in 2019 when it already I probably have already started watching it, but I started the first campaign at the beginning because I'm the kind of guy who likes to, especially in such a long and ongoing show. I guess you could start in the middle of it, but it's like then you have all those characters. They are already established backstories, all the side characters, and the overall arc that you're missing off. I mean, it's not like a daily soap where the development actually is kept low key. No, there's stuff is happening. They level up, they defeat certain entities, certain people get murdered or reformed or whatever, and especially the characters themselves also evolve on a character level, not just on a mechanical level up, getting stronger level. And so yeah, I wanted to start it from the beginning. This was probably 2019ish. Not entirely sure because I mostly my active interest came with listening to Denim Ninja, who is a very dedicated fan to it. Like the fan art we have in this room is hers, And so I wanted to be able to be part of the conversation. I wanted to share in the hobby and stuff. So I started watching the second campaign. I haven't even touched the first campaign. I know there is one that is gigantic, and unlike the second campaign, it's already concluded. So there is a chance to finish season 1, which finally gets me into my problem with season 2, that on a weekly basis, not completely weekly last year due to known circumstances, but on a weekly basis, they produce a new episode, like 4 hours of content, which it's like 4 hours of content for this single entity. This is not even accounting for a lot of peripheral shows they also keep producing, which are also fun, like stuff like Talks Machina, where you get a glimpse behind the scenes when there's an interview situation with the participants, with the players and the DM, where you get like, okay, what does your character feel about this and that recent development? And you get a little bit of insights that you wouldn't get from watching the episode, which is fun and interesting. But this is another 1.5 hours on top of the already 4 hours. Then there are shows like, which currently I believe is on hiatus, No Work, No Play, where 2 of the more crazier members of Critical Role go out there and just do weird things, which also, once again, if you like those people and are into their shenanigans, this is fantastic content. But I believe those episodes were also like an hour each. And what else is currently still going on? The Narrative Telephone, which is also kind of evil in the same regard as Critical Role, is that the production time is more or less identical, except for a little bit of pre and post, I guess, but to the stream time. So prepping everything and whatnot, and especially the DM has to put a lot of work into it ahead of time, but they produce an episode of Critical Role as a live stream. Okay, nowadays not anymore, but it used to be a live stream, and it probably will be again at some point, in a span of 4 hours. And then all they have to do is upload those 4 hours to YouTube, and this is the content right there. So they need 4 hours to produce 4 hours of content. Ask an animator how their relation between work and the final product on YouTube is. They will be like, I don't know, trying to find an estimate. Like there are numbers out there how long it takes to animate a second of content of animation, how much work goes into it. But we are talking hours to seconds, not a one-to-one relationship. And animations also still have a big amount of preparation you need to do before you start actually animating, and probably post. I don't think it's a lot of post with animation. Getting off topic, sorry. So you have like per week, let's call it like on average like 5 hours of content, of new content on a weekly basis. And if you 1 week you don't feel like watching it, if you want to keep up to date, which is also a pressure of staying up to date because spoilers, you then have to do 8 hours or 10 hours of Critical Role the next week. And as much as I love this show, this is a lot of content, and this is not even accounting for catching up. As I mentioned, I attempted to do a catch up in, I believe it was 2019, when it became clear that Denim Ninja would move in with me, and I was like, hey, wouldn't it be fun if I catch up so we can then watch Critical Role together as it comes out? Because she was up to date the entire time. And so throughout the year, I tried to binge it in the regard that I had it basically non-stop running on a second screen whenever I was doing video games or whatever else. I have not been drawing in 2019 yet properly. And that's the sad thing. That's the tab that I tried to find earlier, how far I actually got in my catching up attempts. But I believe in the second season I got I'm still trying to find if I have this tab still open somewhere, but I'm getting more and more sure that I haven't, that I don't. And so I got like episode 50 or something, while they are currently, I haven't even looked up the current number. That's getting like really, really counterproductive right now. Okay, yeah, the current episode is 120 or 121. 122, because the most recent one is not yet on YouTube. So 122 episodes currently, and I tried to catch up back then, and I was still like 50, 60 episodes behind, because at some point also the enthusiasm and the energy, as great of a show as it is, you need something. You need a little bit of a diverse entertainment diet, if you get what I mean. And that's the thing right now. Still, I work full time, and then there are, and it's not just Critical. There are a few shows that there are a few contents on YouTube, not even accounting for professionally produced shows. There's content on YouTube I try to catch up with, and then you reach the weekend and are like, okay, what to do? Whew. Critical Role, new episode. Oh, and this week there was a Talks Marketer. Oof, and there was also a narrative telephone. So yeah, into today actually. So yesterday and today, both days of the weekend have been in huge chunks been reserved for Critical Role. I mean, we both did other stuff at the same time as well. I was still working on the 2,000 pieces puzzle I started in the New Year stream, and Denim was doing some Sims 4 action. But yeah, in the meantime, it was like Critical Role. 6 to 7 hours of Critical Role. We need to get through them this weekend, or we will have the situation I described earlier, where there's more next week to catch up on. Too stupid for breathing again. That's the thing that happens. So yeah, to sum it all up, my problem with Critical Role is that there is so much of it, and it keeps going, and it is this bottomless pit. I mean, there is this meme from I forgot this Chen meme where he's like, I need to find out where my friends are, and then he goes down the dungeon, and it would have been so intelligent to have this prepared up there. What I haven't, as you can tell. I guess I will find the meme and link it down below. And but Chen is like, I need to find out where my friends have gone. And the wise man is like, oh, and he's standing in front of a dungeon, which is downstairs, and which is like, the original joke wasn't Critical Role. It was something like J-pop or whatever, but there are a million edits out there when one of them is Critical Role, when it's like down in the dungeon, I need to find out what happened to my friends. And the old man's like, no, don't do it. And I must. And then he walks down into the dungeon to never be seen again. And Critical Role is pretty much that. It was a very fitting edit when they did it with when whoever edited it with the Critical Role logo there, because it's true. It's just when season 2 seems to come to a final closure, and I will actually have a big breather once season 2 is through, and there will be a little bit of, but they will probably fill it very quickly with something else, because they are business, and they need their watch times, they need their fans support, they need their subscriptions, or whatever, however they finance their shows. Though they will probably try to close this gap very quickly with season 3 of Critical Role, or doing a bunch of one-shots of alternative pen and papers, which then leads to the time still being filled, like unskippably filled. And this, on top of a problem that I want to talk about another time, which is too much content in general. It's a little bit of an abusive relationship, because I love it so much that I cannot let it go, even so I know that it's too demanding, actually. If this makes any sense. But yeah, that is my 2 cents about Critical Role, and how it is tearing me apart. But yeah, what are your thoughts about it? Are you watching Critical Role? If you, how is your role life balance? This is a thing now that I just came up with. How do you manage? How do you cope? Are you up to date? Were you forced like me to basically skip 60 episodes? Because that's what happened at the end of the day. I tried to catch up, I couldn't catch up. Then Denim moved in, and we just started watching from that point in time onward. She gave me a little bit of a wrap up of all the highlights that happen in between, and every now and then we need to pause when watching, and I'm like, I don't get this reference, and like pause the stream. So in the meantime, while you in the big gap you didn't watch half the series, basically, this happened. They met this person at this big event, and here this person turned crazy for a bit, and I'm like, okay, now I understand what they just mentioned in a sentence. Let's continue with the current plot, shall we? So, my question still: do you watch it? Why do you watch it? Why do you watch it? Probably because you enjoy it. But why don't you watch it? If you watch it, how do you cope? How do you keep up to date? Do you keep up to date? Are you just like, fuck the current status quo? I watch at my own pace, even if this means that I end up finishing the show 4 years after it ended or whatever. I Yeah. How do you crit roll? I don't know. You now know how I do. See you next time.